Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and this video is going to share with you the three main themes for the upcoming new moon on November 20th, 2025. It's a very important and well-rounded new moon, a great time for manifestation, self-awareness, having loads and loads of personal breakthroughs, and it's a good time to really just step forward firmly on this new chapter that has been kind of on the horizon maybe for you for some time. It's a time to really start walking that path. And the new moon is going to bless you with a lot of different healings and insights and support to do just that. So with that said, what I'm going to do now is, again, break it down into three more specific and digestible themes germane to this one we have coming up here on November 20th, 2025. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here, my friends. Again, my name is Victor Oddo, and I make these videos as often as I feel inspired, and I hope you enjoy this one. Theme number one word: awareness. Awareness sounds good. We want to become more aware, all of us would say, right? At the same time, when you become aware of things that are off in your life, things you've been neglecting, things within yourself that have maybe been unresolved and you're not aware of, when these types of things kind of come into our awareness, it can be sometimes hard to look at and digest and face. It's an icky feeling to suddenly it's almost like remembering you forgot to do something. Oh no, I forgot this thing. It's that type of feeling. But those feelings are very short-lived, and the awareness, of course, provides an opportunity to make the shifts, make the adjustments, make the change. Nothing is irreparable. Nothing is beyond your ability to reconcile, revamp, tweak, improve, modify, bring up to speed. And right now you might be getting these little pings of awareness, which is very common during Mercury retrograde. It's definitely it's a time of revealing areas of your life that you haven't been tending to, but now you need to. Now there's a consequence of neglecting that. A very embarrassing example of that. I don't know why I'm even going to share it, honestly, but it's a good example, so I'm going to. I remember when I was in my late 20s to my mid 30s, I went for almost 8 or 9 years without going to the dentist. Now, I know that sounds kind of gross. My rationale was, you know what? I don't feel any cavities. I'm sure I'm good. Well, when I finally did go to the dentist, I had 6 cavities, and consequently about 2 or 3 very painful, sort of embarrassing appointments due to my neglect. But I learned that there's value in maintaining things. So now I go to the dentist every 6 months, always good. I floss really well. I do everything very nicely. And it feels very good. But when I first had that appointment, it was like a very uncomfortable, rude awakening for me. And this new moon, the Mercury retrograde in particular, the month of November in general, it's helpful like that. I needed to go to the dentist. I needed that awareness. Now my teeth are good. So you might have that in your life, maybe within your relationships, maybe within your household, maybe within your career. You start noticing where the screws are loose and need some tightening, where there's a smud that you need to wipe down. And this awareness is going to allow you to really revamp yourself, your life, your situation, and really give you kind of an opportunity to really start something new, to really go into the new chapter, firing on all cylinders, all your ducks in a row. And this awareness is necessary. But the challenge is admitting it to yourself. It's hard to admit to ourselves some of the deeper awarenesses. What I gave is kind of a superficial example even. But this new moon is very powerful. It might take you very deep into surprising areas of your psyche. And what comes to mind is just yesterday I was running a live session with my friend Aaron, and we're teaching aspiring coaches how to coach. And one of the things we kind of preach as far as our coaching philosophy goes, for if you're interested, is to not see your clients as broken. Refrain from the feeling like you have to fix them. And it's hard because if you see somebody in front of you, even if it's a good friend of yours and they're suffering, it's natural to want to help them, to want to fix them. But if you look very honestly, especially if you're a coach, A lot of times that need to fix other people is about resolving something within ourselves. If I can fix you, if I can, as a coach, give you a breakthrough that I feel good about myself, then I don't have to feel tension in my body because I'm in the presence of you who's suffering. But a lot of times this forces us to coach in a way that's maybe not honoring the person's timing, and it has our own agenda kind of distorting our approach. But anyway, to kind of admit that to yourself, like it's easier to say, I just want to help everybody because I'm a nice person. That's nice. But if the reality is you want to help people so you feel good about yourself, so you can look at yourself in the mirror and not feel bad about yourself, that's like, nobody wants to admit that. That's a very like shameful type of thing, but it's true sometimes. It was true for me as a coach, and you might have something like that in your life that is being reflected to you where you have to really face that. You really have to look at it honestly. But then you can make these quantum leaps, these big breakthroughs. When I recognized that, for example, in myself as a coach, I started to become a much better coach because I was more in tune with the client, more able to honor where they were, not taking it on my shoulders the need to fix, to feel good about myself, a general acceptance that people have their own timing. It allowed me to be a lot more present with my clients and a way more transformative coach. And that came, however, from taking a very deep, hard, honest look at myself. And the retrograde period in particular, it tends to like hold up a lot of mirrors that we have been kind of, not purposely, but nonetheless avoiding for a while. And it can be like boom, 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 boom. Several of these insights kind of come bombarding you all at once. And it's an overwhelming experience sometimes. It's hard. At the same time, that's like where the real growth comes in. That's when a real deepening of your spirituality and your spiritual awareness can really begin to take root. And then from that point forward, again, you can start to be able to live more consciously, make wiser choices, and design your life in a much smarter, wiser, well-rounded way that will help you avoid in the future these breakdowns, like me going to the dentist all the time. I do that now. Checking myself as a coach. There are probably areas of your life, patterns of thinking, ways of relating that might be being affected by some of your own unresolved issues that if you can take that honest look, you can become aware of them and make great strides in overcoming them. Theme number 2, it's a great time to go into the silence. Sometimes these new moons and full moons, they can make you aware that your life is not really, like something's off. You can feel something's off. And the way you know something's off is usually pretty obvious. Things aren't going well. You're running into problems and complications and you just feel it. You feel like you're just like out of sync or something. But from this state, a lot of times we try to resolve that by doing more, taking more action, and being very busy in our lives. And we're working hard and nothing's changing. The reflection is still there just as it was yesterday. And it can be very discouraging and make you feel very hopeless and wonder like, what's the deal? What's wrong? What am I missing? And the problem is, few of us take time to really sit with ourselves, to find out what really is missing. A lot of times it's not the effort we're putting in, it's the direction we're focusing it. And we're living in a very unique time in history where going off on a tangent is much more immediately evident by your unhappiness, lack of progress, lack of flow, lack of success, etc., which is good. Because now we can see when we're going in a wrong direction, we can stop and ask ourselves, is this really my path? Is this really authentic? Again, a hard thing to admit to yourself because your mind can say, well, of course it's authentic. This is what I believe in. It's like, is this truly inspired from your soul? And unless we take the time to connect with ourselves on that deep level where we're just not doing anything, undistracted, just sitting, waiting for our thoughts to kind of quiet down, where we can finally listen with an empty cup for those soft, faint, sometimes vague whispers of our soul. But if you can capture one, if you can receive one, perceive of one, then all that willingness you might have and effort, you can channel it into a direction that is authentic, that is your path to go down, and then you will, just as quickly you experience the reflections of when something's off, that same immediacy is also when you're doing something well. So right now you might feel like your whole life is out of sorts. It can be that way sometimes, and all these bad habits are being thrown in your face, and you're trying your best and getting nowhere. When you find your right path, almost immediately your life begins to you experience more harmony, more synchronicity, more flow, more ease, more balance. A lot of times the moons can make us aware of our level of fatigue is because we're doing things we don't need to be doing, that aren't ours to do. And that's good because we don't need to be doing them, and that gives us more time to do the things we are meant to do. And when you focus like that, it's kind of like the whole power versus force thing. You have a lot of power. Each inspired action step carries way more weight, is far more integrated with all the aspects of your life and your work-life balance, your health. All these things can finally settle in to where you can thrive, make great progress, feel really good and happy and at peace a lot more often. But it takes the time to find our path. Many of us don't take the time. But the new moon is going to say, hey, well, if you don't do that, you're going to see pretty quickly what's not your path, what's not yours. You might already know that right now, and it's hard to admit. Again, these are hard truths to admit. I remember, for example, one time when I was going through this exact same thing in a big way with my career, and I was really struggling to get my personal training studio to flourish again. At one time it was doing well, but it started to really decay and decline, and clients were dropping off, and I was stressed and overworked. It was all that. And I found myself almost like I woke up in the middle of the night, I think, and I was thinking about what do I gotta do for this gym, And I was on my phone, and I was scrolling, and I noticed this one woman who I was kind of modeling. I think her name was Samantha, and she was crushing it with local gyms, just like I had. And I looked on her website, and I saw what she was doing. And what she was doing was she was having campouts and meetups and picnics and all this cool community stuff. She deserved her success. But when I saw what she was doing, I had this sink, this feeling of my stomach sinking from my chest into my stomach, where you gulp. And it was because what she was doing, what was actually required, I knew right then and there, it's just not in alignment. I don't see myself doing any of that. I want no part of that. I'm not willing to do that. That's not me. And what a big pill to swallow. That was my job. That was my career. That was how I fed my family. And all of a sudden it's not you anymore, Vic. You sure about that, bro? And it was yes, that's it. And that was the beginning of the end for me. And also the beginning of the beginning of a much better chapter, of a path that was making videos like this. This is in alignment for me. This is real. This is my truth. And I was never going to find it as long as I insisted on doing something that was not mine. But again, these things aren't easy, I didn't like facing the fact that my career and my identity all of a sudden, seemingly, was not in alignment, was not me. But I knew if I clung on to it any longer, it was just going to continue to fall apart. As you kind of know, you see the trajectory of things when you cling, right? And if I can just give you any advice, it's once you know in your heart, let go. Let go and trust. There's always something else. There's always a next step, and always the next chapter, always the next rendition of you, the next iteration of whatever thing is wanting to change. I just read just yesterday from Marcus Aurelius in his book Meditations, loss is nothing more than change. And change is a inherent functional component of the universe. No point in resisting it. And change can be good. Change is oftentimes good. You know, at the time I was like, what am I going to do? This is all I know, my gym, this is who I am. Thank God I let that go, because my life has taken me into so many wonderful places since that moment of clarity that I would have missed if I had had my way and got the gym going. A lot of times what we think we want, it's very like misguided and short-sighted and neglects just how powerful we actually are. If you let go of this thing, you might feel like vulnerable, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Well, I guarantee there's something you're meant to do that's you're gonna crush it. You're gonna thrive, you're gonna love it. And it also will give you greater awareness of your real power, your real capability. But you have to give it a chance. Number 3, it's a great time to start something new. If you can clean up your yard, so to speak, and sort of force yourself out of your busy schedule to get that clarity in the silence, I bet you'll find something that you've already had awareness of. That is the next step. I predict for a lot of you, your next step is something you don't not know. You do know. It might be something you've neglected for so long, though, that you've sort of forgotten about it. It's collecting dust over there in the closet. You probably have known all along at least enough of what you're meant to do to take the first step. And here's the thing. I'm going to share with you something I learned from my martial arts instructor, Angel. A lot of times when you do become kind of aware, like for me, like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. What's the first thing you think I thought of? Oh, great. I'll start. No, it was, I can't be a YouTuber. I don't feel comfortable on camera. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't have the faintest idea of even how to start a YouTube channel. I had a list that downloaded in my brain of all the reasons why I couldn't do it. Angel says, that my instructor, when it comes to martial arts, which is also very daunting. You know, you might look on TV and see like people in the UFC, the way they move and stuff. Try doing that. Try doing that when someone's trying to punch and kick you and take you down and choke you out. It's extremely difficult. The level of athleticism and grace and coordination and confidence and skill and strength and power, all these things are like extremely, they don't come easily. And Angel always says, you don't need talent to get like that. He says every one of you is talking to his students. You will get there if you show up to class. If you practice. You don't need motivation. You don't need talent. You need discipline. You need to show up. You need to put yourself in the chair and write the book. That's me. That's my advice, and I've been doing it. You need to put yourself in front of the camera and just start filming. Not just today when you're feeling inspired, but tomorrow when you're not feeling inspired, when your hair is all messed up, if you have it, or whatever. You have to show up. You have to do the work. And slowly over time, you'll recognize something that will change your life. You'll recognize progress. Give yourself a chance to feel even a little bit of progress. Because once you see that you have what it takes to move the needle in your life, then nothing can stop you. I was able to experience this with YouTube. And honestly, when I knew it was like gonna work, I only had 100 followers. I literally gained 100 followers. And when I hit that 100 follower mark, something clicked in my mind where I said, if I can get 100, I can get 1,000. And if I can get 1,000, I can get 10,000. And why not 100,000? 300,000 later, here I am. And it started sloppily. It started with no clarity. I started with no skill to speak of. I started with anxiety on camera. All the things were there. I didn't resolve them, figure them out, get a map. I just showed up in front of the camera day after day after day after day. And at that 100 follower mark, then I realized I can do this. You got to give yourself that chance, my friends. Just yesterday, the reason that popped in my head is I was at my martial arts class, and the instructor, he singled me out. He said, Victor, you have come a long way with your kicks, with your punches. He says, you are making great progress. I was almost embarrassed to hear it, but I felt really good in doing so because I know how badly I sucked when I began. And not only did I suck, I had tremendous resistance even going to class. And I've talked about this before in previous videos where I was drawn to these martial arts classes. on some level, I found enjoyment, but because I was such a beginner among people who are younger than me, tougher than me, it was a very brutal experience. And every time as the clock ticked away and I became where I had to go to class, I felt this like heavy wall of resistance every single time. I didn't want to go. I did not want any part of it. And I used to have to like almost force myself into the car. And I remembered I would like listen to Eckhart Tolle and like I would sometimes even recite affirmations before going in, like, you got this, you are a warrior. Like I'd have to pump myself up. But it was because of how resistant I felt to doing something I was drawn to. And you might feel that too. And so many make the mistake of not starting until that resistance lifts. Maybe it's in the next breathwork ceremony. Maybe it's in the next ayahuasca journey. Maybe it's, I'll get it, the next full moon will come and shed this. No, there's always more. There's no end to the vast shadow in which we all have. But the cool thing is, it's not as powerful as we give it credit. When I was contemplating going to class, it felt like, again, a lot of resistance, but I realized that I could still make myself sit in that car and turn the ignition on and frickin' drive a half hour to class. And I could walk in there and I can get my ass kicked and come back and do it again. It's not that powerful. It just seems that powerful. And a lot of times your ego will really resist strongly when you're really close to breaking free, to breaking through. Now I wake up, I can't wait to go to class. I have no resistance whatsoever. Even though it is challenging, I love it. I've moved through the resistance. I've witnessed myself experiencing enough progress to know that even if these feelings come up, they have no meaning. They have no power over me, only the power in which I give it. Now's a great time to start something you have been putting off for whatever reason. I'm sure you have them. And hopefully this video can be yet one more little confirmation for what you've already been telling yourself this entire time. With that said, if you do want some help, it does help to do the work, the emotional work. I just ran a breathwork ceremony for about 1,000 people a couple of days ago, and it was powerful. I witnessed so many people having massive, massive breakthroughs. And if you want to go through that for free, I'm going to leave a link down below where you can download a very similar, a different one, but the same idea, an hour-long somatic release ceremony where you can experience a lot of emotional healing, a lot of clarity, reconnecting you with your higher self and your soul and your spirit. It's a very powerful rebirthing type of experience that does have a place from time to time. And if you want that help, it's free. I'll leave a link down below. With that said, I'll see you all in the next video. God bless. Peace.